you. Thank you, Unity Band. Wow. Well, good morning and welcome to Unity Spiritual Center of Lansing. We are meeting on the land of the Three Fires Council. There was 3 native tribes that came together. It was the Chippewa, the Ottawa, and the Potawatomi tribes. You get a little feedback? Something weird. It's always something. That'd be a good talk title, something weird. We'll do that. And so I thought that was very appropriate, the land of the Three Fires Council. They gathered together to protect the land, actually. And I do want to take a moment just to stop and thank the watering team, because they've done an extraordinary job this week. Thank you, Karen and Marilyn and Peggy and Kathy. I mean, this is just, and you helped our neighbors too, so great appreciation on that. Okay. Well, Unity's mission is to spiritually awaken to our oneness with God, each other, and all creation. And we hold a vision of seeing a world that is powerfully transformed. There's a growing movement of a shared spiritual awakening. And we say shared because we understand it's not like there's a right and perfect answer, that it's about honoring ourselves and each other, whatever path we're on and wherever we are on that path. So I'd like to start with an ecumenical prayer. I invite you to affirm with me. The enlightenment of the Buddha shines within us. The compassion of the Christ moves through us. The power of Jehovah strengthens and guards us. The presence of Allah surrounds and guides us. Wherever we are, the Tao is, and all is God. Well, to meet and greet each other at your table, we've got to bless our neighbors first, sorry. You hold off on meeting and greeting each other. Yeah, it's been a week. I know my family's been tied up with the Surfside accident where the building collapsed. You know, there's a lot of things that happened this week. So whatever's happened in your life or those that you know, there's several people had successful surgeries this week. There's stuff going on all over the world. COVID is spiking in some of the other countries, showing up. So we're just going to open our heart to our neighbors, which is anybody with which we share this blue planet, as we affirm together. We pray with understanding and compassion in our hearts, knowing divine light shines even in the darkest moments. We bless the continued work of the world's essential workers, those devoting to serving others in times of need. We bless those in grief, whatever their loss, knowing that God is their strength. We lift our gaze to remember our shared humanity, our unity. Centered in God's divine presence within, we know the truth for each person in our world neighborhood. We are guided by wisdom arising in love as we act in ways that foster peace and wholeness for all. And so it is. Amen. And now let's take a moment to bless Unity Spiritual Center, which is you and me, us as a community. We always need to, we got to keep our own cup filled. So we affirm Unity Spiritual Center of Lansing embraces its journey of spiritual growth as we walk this new path of bountiful blessings. We are emerging as a greater expression of love, a force for good in our neighborhood. Receptive to the handprint of God, we are guided to fields of unlimited possibilities to be a meaningful, shining light in our world. And so it is. Allah, Shalom, Amen, Namaste. Now you can meet each other, and we're going to do this by talking at the table. It's a great chance to get to know each other again. Feel free to remind each other of your names. I'm going to give you a question. We're going to give you just a couple minutes to have a light discussion at your table. And the question today, is there a sign that you look for? We all have little ideas that certain things show up in our life as a sign. Maybe it's when you see a cardinal. Cardinal's very well known to be a visit from somebody from the other side. Or so just at the table, be free to talk to yourself, each other, not to yourself, to each other. And then we'll come back with Swing Wide the Door. So we'll take about 2 minutes. And for those of you that are joining us online virtually, what signs do you look for in your life? I know my grandparents had a lot of ideas that certain things meant other things, and sometimes it's weather, things in nature. There were certain signs that the back of the leaves shone that a storm was coming. And metaphysically, that might mean that there's going to be a huge chaotic change in your life if you see the backsides of the leaves. You might have, as a kid, perhaps you looked for a 4-leaf clover, and that was a sign that you were going to have good luck. We all have those ways that we feel the universe talking to us, and just ways that are specific to us, ways that are uniquely Spirit trying to get our attention, that we are attuned to. The same sign might be different for one person than the other, the same red cardinal, but it means something different to each person that sees it. So today, just take a moment to think about that. What are the signs that you see in your life? Yeah.
Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. I'm not holding it in anymore. I'm gonna shout it out loud. I understand now that I'm here for, and what this life is about. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand, lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. There's a voice that I've heard for years. I've learned to keep it inside. Well, now it's coming in loud and clear. I want a deeper life. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand, lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine.
It's so wonderful to see people in here. Good morning, I'm Casey, and I'm your platform assistant for today. Today's daily word is let go, let God. Inspired by the words of Jesus, but strive first for the kingdom of God and divine righteousness, and all the things will be given to you as well. We are each equipped with powerful spiritual tools to use toward creating the life of our dreams. Through prayer and meditation, visualization, and affirmation, we are all willing to work for what we want to see manifest in our lives and in the lives of those we care about. Sometimes we can be so focused on what we are doing that we forget the importance of stepping back from our efforts and releasing our attachment to specific outcomes. There is a great peace that comes from knowing we have done all that we can. And then, in perfect peace and clarity, releasing outcomes to the divine that is in all people and all circumstances. We heed your guidance to discern when to take action, when to yield to the activity of spirit. Let us affirm together. I do what is mine to do and release the rest. For the month of June, we have been focusing on our core value of freedom. Today is sandwiched between emancipation of Juneteenth and the Declaration of Independence, the 4th of July. Each personifies the gift of our personal and collective freedom. When we know the truth that sets us free, the truth that we are each an expression of the divine, actively co-creating a life worth living, that we discover that we are unbound by any self-imposed limitations. Freedom is a powerful force of spirit that breathes us. Our personal freedom is dependent on the capacity of the collective consciousness of the human race to be free and unlimited. Our Sunday services are now offered to you as hybrid experiences. This means they will be available to you both on location and online, whichever works for you. Recordings of the service are on our website, YouTube, and Facebook. Currently, we continue to offer classes and meetings online and anticipate expanding to offering hybrid experiences by the fall. Details of our activities can be found on our website, unitylansing.org, and in our weekly e-news. Our prayer ministry team continues to be active and available to hold you and your loved ones in prayer. Prayer requests can be placed in the prayer box in our lobby or electronically through the website or with a phone call to the church. Unity is offering a special summer book study on Zoom so you can participate from home or even when traveling. The study is Nonviolent Communication, a language of life. We will meet on Wednesday evenings at 6:30 p.m., beginning July 14th for 6 weeks. Important, you will need to pre-register so handouts can be emailed to you. The registration link is on the website. Copies of the books are available at the self-serve bookstore over by the windows, $11, or other places you may buy books. This is a continuation of the study of compassionate communication that members of your Board of Trustees and leadership team have already begun. We see this as a great tool as we emerge as even more loving community in our new space. Yes, it doesn't say this, but we're going to invite our special guest singer up now. Rick? Right? Rick, okay.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me back here again. Appreciate it. And I picked a couple of songs that I think are appropriate for this celebration of getting back to life as normal. This first one about appreciating the little times, those little moments, and the small hours, as it says. Let it go, let it roll right off your shoulders, don't you know? The hardest part is over, and let it in. Let your clarity define you in the end. We will only just remember how it feels. Our lives remain in these small hours, these little wonders, these twists and turns of fate. Time falls away, but these small hours still remain. Let it slide, let your troubles fall behind you, let it shine until you feel it all around you. And I don't mind if it's me you need to turn to, we'll get by, 'cause it's the heart that really matters in the end. Our lives remain in these small hours, these these little wonders, these twists and turns of fate, our time away in these small hours, still remain. All of my regret will wash away somehow, but I cannot forget the way I feel right now. In these small hours, these little wonders, these twists and turns of fate, these twists and turns of fate, time falls away, but these small hours still remain. Yeah, they still remain. These little wonders, these twists and turns of fate, time falls away, but these small hours still remain. Thank you.
I love the synchronicity of song choices, where the daily word was let go, let God. He starts out with, let go, and it's just, it's always so fun. So, today's about the sign you've been waiting for. And, the other day, as I was leaving the office, rushing around, got to pick up the dogs from daycare, just the to-do list, those kind of days. And there's this little frog sitting outside. And he says to me, "Sharon, it's okay, sweetie, you can just slow down, you got it." Well, I probably forced him to say that. But when you think about it, we kept rushing around. And I know the other day I was kind of longing for the days during the quarantine when there was hardly any traffic on the road. Have you noticed the difference in traffic? And there weren't so many things to do outside of your house. You were always where you needed to be. You just need to be by your computer or by the refrigerator, whatever happened to be coming up. But in all of our craziness, and I'm amazed how quickly the speed is picking up again, there are times that we just take a breath and slow down. We see that little frog that says, "You got this, it's okay, relax." And then all the pieces, when we slow down, seem to fall into place, You finally get to take a deep breath. So I think, especially in Unity, but for always, people look for signs and omens and portents, and we kind of see all those things going on. And one of the ones that stick in my mind, Janice Stanfield, she wrote "I'm Not Lost, I'm Just Exploring." Winterly's done a number of her songs. And she was singing at Unity at Kitchener, and it was during a service. And she has this beautiful song about a butterfly emerging. And as she's sitting on the stage with a guitar singing this song, this is in winter in Canada, this white butterfly shows up and flies all around her head. She didn't see it, but everybody in the congregation is going, and when the song was over, the butterfly disappeared. Yeah. Oh, I had a white butterfly coming up there. And it meant something to each of us, and it meant something different to each of us. And one of the families there, a year ago that day, had lost their son to death by suicide. And they had a butterfly was a sign for them that he was still around and he was okay. I mean, it's just extraordinary what's out there if we can just kind of stop sometimes and refocus and see what it is that's going on. So signs are usually things that are happening in the present for right now. Omens are things that are going to happen in the future, right? When we get these kind of things that come to us. And I think signs are significantly interpreted God notes, right? So it's only a sign because we make it a sign. We take that moment to stop and kind of get an interpretation. And if you think about it, we all have this perception of how we see our world. We could see graffiti or we could see a masterpiece of art, right? You could hear somebody just whistling, and somebody else might hear that whistling and just hear the whole symphony. They hear the overtones, the undertones, they just hear the whole big thing. And so little tiny events can sometimes become giant events. They become markers, like milestones in our life. So being aware that we get to hear what we need to hear in that moment and that it might be different for each of us, so we're not always on the same page for sure. Here's a sign that I got that was just for me: save the earth, it's the only planet with chocolate. And that was a sign to go to Fabiano's immediately, and sure enough, they were having a sale. Oh. And now, some of you may have heard the story. We have our legends and myths evolving around this property, and the first day, the board came out to see this property. And we went through the building, and we're all gaga, and then we went out back, and this white egret landed in the pond, and that's a picture of the egret that was standing there. And then when we turned around to leave, he just spread his wings and flew away. And I hadn't seen him since that day until a week ago Saturday, before our first on, and there he was. He just took off and flew, that magnificent wing spread. So it was so delightful. And then when I went to get flowers for Corbin's baptism, they had a case over at Anthony's Florist with all these china pieces in it. And there in the bottom of the cabinet, with 75% off, that's always a sign, was this beautiful china egret with its wing spread. It's upstairs now on the mantle, of course. I got the sign. The symbol of the egret, though, is so exciting. It focuses on peace with oneself and peace with the world. Isn't that a great sign for us to have going through this, about being in balance and being calm? And it tells us that an egret for a community is about a community that really finds itself, finds its spirituality and its peace, and becomes balanced and accomplished in the community. So I think not only was that a sign, but it was an omen about our future, what the path is for us to walk down. Oh, here's some other signs that I came across. One says, if there is someone behind you and no one in front of you, then get out of this lane. And the one in the middle says, stay in this lane unless you're going to pass. And then finally, if you can't figure out why, then take this lane. Get off the highway. Those are kind of signs for life, right? Sometimes we're slowing everything down. We need to get out of that lane of business that we're in. Sometimes we're in the right lane, and other times it's just time to exit and go a different route, see where we are. Signs have been around, like I think as long as there's been humans that could think. In the Old Testament, there's all kinds of signs. The very first book in Genesis, after Cain was not very nice to his brother, and he was abolished from the family, he was kicked out, it said that Cain received a sign so nobody would harm him. The first sign we hear about. And then, of course, Noah and the ark, after the flooding goes away, the rainbow comes out. It's a sign of God's promise that he'll never destroy everything again. And I really took that to heart last night when the wind and the rain were coming in, and I said, this building cannot be touched. This building cannot be touched. And all of our trees are still standing. I'm just so proud of them. They behaved so well. And then there was this covenant with God that humans were to make, males were to make with God to have circumcision. This was supposed to be a sign that they were God's people. Moses had lots of signs. When Moses, who was a stutterer, was told he had to go talk to the Pharaoh, and Moses said, I don't have it in me. This, you got the wrong guy here. And all these little things happened. He had a staff which could turn into a snake and then back into a staff. At one point he was told to put his hand inside his robe, and when it came out, it was all leprous. The skin was all white, and then he put it back in the robe again, it came out and it was healed. So there are all these kind of signs going on, and things with the Nile coming up on the land and turning into blood. So we kind of get this thing that signs seem to reflect our circumstances of life. And in the Old Testament, and metaphysically, the Old Testament is when we really think of, I call it almost a Santa Claus God, that you're going to get rewarded or you're going to get punished, depending on how good you were, whether you did the right thing or not. And it's kind of an obey God and you're blessed, disobey God and you're cursed. So that's that old thinking before we understand that we're co-creators. That we're not puppets being controlled, that we are actively co-creating our life. And then you get to the New Testament, there's still signs. In fact, there's so many signs in the New Testament, the Gospel of John is called the Gospel of Signs, because it was all about signs. Everywhere there's signs. Is that a song? Yeah, okay. So in there it gives all these signs about things that Jesus did. So he must be really important because he did healings. He fed the multitudes with fishes and loaves that appeared from nowhere, turned water into wine, which is one of the first lessons we give you when you become a Unity member. Joking, okay. Walking on water, raising the dead, and then one of the really curious signs for me in that book was after the story of the resurrection, Jesus helps them catch a lot of fish for breakfast. But they saw that as a sign. They really saw that as a sign of connection, a sign of portent for them. So each of you can get a sign anytime. I love the needle drop thing. And on your table, like there's some of those little booklets. And if you were to just open it, so maybe somebody at the table, open one of the booklets, and just open it to any page random. Sometimes people flip through and stop at a page, or sometimes, you just, on a bigger book, you can sometimes literally just let it drop. And then you close your eyes and you put your finger down and read what it says. And you can all have even the same verse, and it would mean something different from you, because it's like a translator, an automatic translator that allows you to connect with spirit in some kind of meaningful way. And sometimes you get it and you don't get it. I mean, you get this verse, you go, what the heck is that supposed to mean? And I will tell you, I swear, within a day or two, all of a sudden you go, oh, that's what it was. That's what it was. I wasn't, I was thinking on a different train at the time. That was just perfect. And so a needle drop is anytime you're looking for guidance, anytime you're looking for comfort, it's amazing how that little technique is just so helpful. When I was in ministerial school, sometimes lines from teachers stay with you. And my one teacher said, the only thing wrong with the Bible is they put a back cover on it. It looks like, oh, God only talked to people thousands of years ago. No, Spirit is always talking to us. We're the ones that aren't always listening. We're just maybe not open to that at that moment. So we hear a lot about the end is near. But my favorite thing is the beginning is near. And if you get it, we're always right there in the middle. The end of something is near, and the beginning of something else is near. And it's kind of this, what feels like chaos as we're moving from one thing to another, because we're moving from what's known into the unknown. It's not planned. We don't have a script. We don't have that routine comfort. In fact, we as a world are just coming back from having all of our routines taken away from us, and we're reforming everything again. It's just an amazing time of creativity and freedom and scary. Something comfortable to having routines that you know what to expect. So it's really, I find, really want to gear myself to expect the really good stuff. I will admit I wasn't as strong on that last night when the storm came through over the building. But prayer works, ain't happening here. Signs are also important to our physical well-being. We have VSA, vital signs absent, or VSS, vital signs stable. If you ever go into the hospital, you want the VSS. You don't want the VSA, right? You want the VSS, vital signs stable, that you physically are well. But I also think there's a VSC, vital signs evolving. The thing that says we're alive keeps changing. Our interests keep changing, our activities change, our thinking changes. We are a work in process all the time. So sometimes when we get these signs, it's confirmation that we're on the right track. I mean, how many of us have started something new and go, boy, I don't know if that's such a good idea. Yeah. Or sometimes we get guidance that there's a better way to go. Which gets back to this building, because I will never forget the day that we got the last quote in on restoring Home Street, and it was way outside of budget, $1.2 million, $1.5 million, I don't know. And we have a lot of board members here. I just, you're humbled. You're down on your knees, like, where the heck are we supposed to go now? What are we supposed to do? And then, Nancy gets guided to go see, well, what's out there? What's out there? This is what was out there. Go figure. Sometimes the signs are a message of comfort. Just we need that little thing that we're not alone. Something happens. Nature is great about that. That little, well, we have this groundhog that I know Jerry doesn't like because he digs everything up. But he comes and sits on the rock outside of my window and looks at me. He lives underneath the porch up at the lodge. And, he kind of looks at me, and there's just a sense of comfort. I'm not alone, We're all conspiring together for a greater good. Here's a sign. There are so many people out there who will tell you that you can't. What you need to do is turn around and say, watch me. I think as a community, there are so many people it just seemed impossible of what we were going to do next after the fire, you know? And watch us. Look what happened. It may not have been at our time, it may not have been at our speed, but it certainly was into our vision in that right and perfect time, however it happens. So I also think there's VSSA, vital signs of a spiritual awakening. And this is one of our this is key core value, spiritually awakening to our oneness. And there's stages in the spiritual awakening that they're not necessarily comfortable, but it kind of lets you know you're on the path. So the stage one, when you first start to spiritually awaken from that Old Testament consciousness where you have no power, God has it all, and you're just here like a puppet to be whatever, to follow the rules or break the rules. When you start waking up from that, all of a sudden the world gets a little chaotic, or you might even find yourself antisocial. You need to be alone because nobody else is having the same awakening at this time, and you just need some space to kind of fumble around. You know, it's like when, if you were to learn how to use those, what are those, stilts? Yeah. You'd want a little space around you, you know, not to hurt anybody else or yourself. And the first thing that happens, too, that we notice is a thing called chemicalization. And chemicalization happens is when our thinking starts changing, because we cannot hold two opposing thoughts. So it's like vinegar and baking soda for making a volcano for school. When our thinking starts changing, when we start feeling that sense of deep, deep freedom, we get this chemicalization going because we have these old stories that says, I have to do this, I can't do that, I have to wait, all those have to, should haves, would have, whether it's a societal story, whether it's a story that we've picked up on our own. It's similar like if you've ever done a fast for health, you're going to clean your body out. Well, that's not pretty. That's not, you know, you'll very often get pimples you haven't had since you were a teenager. Your body, your stomach is kind of, we won't go into the details of all those organic things that happen, but your body needs to do that in order to clean out, have that chemicalization. So with our mind. But what we find that all of a sudden we feel we don't fit our own lives. It's like waking up and saying, what is this? Where am I? Why am I? This isn't me. I don't belong in this story. It's your soul calling for a change. Something is happening within you that says it's time. It's like the rosebud's getting ready to blossom. It's time. There's that inner soul urging. And everything you've done, you start questioning. Why do I do this? Why do I do that? Nothing is taken for granted. You are out of the comfortable routine and onto a great adventure. So when you're in the subway, remember, please don't smile at strangers. I can't imagine who put that sign up, but you know, there's a lot of strange signs out in the world, right? So I just want you to know, if you get a strange sign, it's not that the universe is against you, it's just making you go, what the heck does that mean? Yeah, just get on with this journey. So the second stage is kind of a formal institutional stage. I would liken it almost to a born-again experience where you might seek safety in rules. Okay, so how do I say my affirmations? How many words do I use? Like, it's hard to set all the rules aside, so you're finding new rules. What is the first thought I'm supposed to think in the morning? It's comforting to create a new routine. It's kind of like training wheels on our bike. Okay, we're going to give up all the victim stuff. We're going to give up the weights, the can'ts, and the should-haves and could-haves, and start in with, I can, this is possible. And so in order to do that, we start ourselves on a little routine to create a new path, if you will. And very often we find all of a sudden there's a block or a crisis that happens because we're still coming off this chemicalization. It's not like you graduate first grade and go into second grade and never have to go back to first grade. These things kind of leak into each other. They kind of bleed into each other. And so it's just remembering that demolition precedes evolution, that things have to break down in structure before it can evolve into the new one. You know, even when we plant our gardens in the spring, we break up the dirt. We make this mess of this solid surface so we can put new seeds in it. Same thing happens in our mind and our heart. We need to break up that solidified stuff in there so that we can plant new seed thoughts. We can make new decisions, new desires. Seeing things anew. Like, did you ever see the word love and revolution before? Different perspective. Different perspective. And once you see revolution written like that, you can never unsee it, right? You can look at that, and your mind will just play that trick and switch those words around and pop it out. That revolving love. I mean, all of a sudden, words take on all kinds of meanings. Our love you, my mind is doing different things. But you can't unsee what you've seen when it's truth, when it's a higher vibration, a higher calling, if you will. So a third stage is becoming a skeptic individual. Okay, you got these new ideas, but there's still kind of shadows of the old ideas back there. Is this really true? Is this really happening? How can I be sure? If you think of life as a puzzle, the pieces aren't fitting together. And sometimes something happens that was not on our agenda. We're doing our affirmations, we're getting rid of the stinking thinking thoughts, and then all of a sudden something really shattering happens to us. There's a loss. A death of a loved one often causes this, or a loss of a job, or a home, or any loss, a loss of a pet. It can just be so devastating. And somehow, where you thought you're really carrying on with your spiritual awakening, all of a sudden it falls apart. You're going, okay, so this whole thing was baloney, or I must be really bad at doing this. Some of the old stuff starts filtering in. We question everything, because now you've grown beyond the old beliefs. You can't go back to the old thing. Well, I must have disobeyed God, so I'm cursed. No, that's not right. It just doesn't sit right. But you're not all the way to the new part yet. And sometimes it shows up physically. Pain in your neck, pain in your lower back, or lower pain. And that's, that whole feeling of a lack of support. You haven't totally allowed yourself to feel that connection to spirit, that in all things, that you are never alone. Malachi, one of the prophets between the Old Testament and the New Testament, there's all these prophets giving you these signs and wonders. And Malachi goes, prove me now. And I think we're in that stage, that really skeptical, questioning stage where you can't go back and you don't seem to go forward. You really want proof. You want God to show up in a tangible way that makes sense to you, that touches your heart, that feels like somebody is holding your hand or holding you up or opening doors for you in that very metaphysical way. Which brings us to the fourth stage, when we have those mystical communal moments with Spirit. We all have those times where all of a sudden, this out here is all crazy, the puzzle pieces aren't fixing, but inside there's this moment of extreme peace. There's this moment, it's like a flash, that you get that, yeah, we all are one. This is all connected. There is nothing that is separate. There is this golden thread, this divine vibration of which we are all a part of, all dancing in, all singing in, all breathing in. And it's usually just a moment. There are very few people I don't know that I've ever known anybody that stays there all the time. But things happen, like soulmates show up. And soulmate's not always a partner, a love partner, a romantic partner. Sometimes it's just the person you need to help you on your next step. There's kind of like these invisible soul agreements, divine appointments. I mean, how many of us have showed up someplace at the right and perfect time and go, wow, that's just amazing. I didn't know you were going to be here, or I didn't know this was going to happen, and then all of a sudden you're there. That's those wonderful awakening moments when you can recognize there was something bigger than you, something that was big, like whatever keeps the planets in orbit, that just divine wisdom, that divine intelligence, that divine connection, that divine love. And also, some people, Charles Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, he had these very intense dreams. He would meditate and meditate and meditate, nothing, nothing, nothing. But when he was too analytical, he always stayed in his mind. But then when he went to sleep, he'd have these wonderful dreams that would give him his signs and his guidance. And he would wake up and know what to do the next day. You just have that inner knowing. So, there's a part of me that would really like to have measurable things for these different stages. So I could kind of check the box, been through that one. But no, it's kind of this gradual process that is multidimensional. That not only does it go on over time, but it goes on through different levels in your life. It's what sometimes people refer to spiral dynamics, that as we evolve, we keep going around a circle, but we go up the mountain, and we get to see it from a different perspective. And, have you ever been down in the valley, and it seems very busy, And then if you do go up on the hill, everything gets calmer. And then if you get into an airplane, the whole world is just peace. I mean, that's all that you see. You get that different perspective. So, did you get the message? It's not a linear process. It's repeatable, but our perspective keeps changing. I think that's one of the biggest things for us to remember, that is that we never arrive, but we always journey. We always change and we evolve. And we have the wonderful privilege of watching for signs along the way. So, simply inspirational God notations. Einstein said it this way: there's only two ways to live your life. One is if nothing's a miracle, the other is as though everything is a miracle. And isn't that what it's about? That everything we see, understanding the miraculous nature of it, starting with looking in the bathroom mirror in the morning. My God, we are miracles. Everything working so perfectly, getting us moving and walking around, yeah. We always have that choice. We can live our lives as the victim, as the puppet, or we can take on that stance of really knowing that we are co-creators in our life, that we are redesigning, that we get to determine the interpretation of those vital signs that we see in our lives. So, excuse me, we're going to take a little time now to go into meditation. Music is on the overhead. Yeah, so just take a deep breath, and you probably want to keep your eyes open if you want to read the words, or you can just listen to it however it's comfortable for you.
I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am stronger every moment, every day. My mind is willing and my heart is open wide. I trust my instincts and let spirit be my guide. I vow to live a life that's real and true and free. As I continue walking in this mystery, there may be walls, there may be roadblocks on my way, but I can choose to take a higher path each day, and I know that what was safe and sound was only habit and regret that held me down.
Just breathe that in. Let's allow ourselves to feel the presence of this moment, closing our eyes if that's comfortable. Allowing those divine ideas of surrender not out of weakness, but out of our spiritual strength. A strength that allows us to connect with that which is truly eternal, truly infinite, at the same time completely personal. The moment of our birth was a sign that a new life force had entered into this expression of humanity. The moment you took your first breath, there was a celebration in the invisible ethers of the universe. You are a sign for others, a sign for yourself. At the core of your being, all you need to do is stop, look, and breathe. To be able to see with your heart the purpose and the passion that created you, and even now is evolving into expression. That expression is sometimes clear, sometimes jagged, sometimes quick, and sometimes exceedingly slow. But it is all the perfect process as you, that divine bud of life, unfolds leaf by leaf, petal by petal, at that right and perfect time. As you take another deep breath, feeling the presence of now, we marvel at the vital signs of our existence, at that process of opening, expanding, until the essence of us becomes seed to begin the process again. In those moments, we may feel like we are the piece that doesn't fit. If we listen, if we look, we will be given the comfort. We will hear the words in whatever way resonates with our understanding in that moment. That this is a communal journey, that we each are called to our individual purpose, but it is a purpose that only fully blossoms in community with others. So let us take a moment to just sit in the silence as we feel the divine spiritually awakening process active within us now. And so we breathe into the process, knowing that as we bring ourselves back into this room in consciousness, that we are surrounded with every sign that we will ever need, every answer to any question that arises, any direction that is needed for any situation. So for this truth, for that constant flow of divinity in and through us and around us, we say, thank you, God, and so it is. Amen. I think next week, everybody should bring back lists of what signs they got this week. I think we'd be amazed, just amazed. I'm going to invite Rick back up here, because, you know, we keep saying Rick because I always pronounce your last name wrong. Sagan? Saying. I knew I had it wrong. I did it wrong twice. Okay, I turn it over to you. Thank you.
Yes. And if you listen now, you might hear a new sound coming in as the old one disappears. We see the world in just one grain of sand. So let's take a closer look. Don't let it slip right through our hands. Won't you please hear the call? The world says, put the message in the box, put the box into the car, drive the car around the world until you get heard. And now is the moment, please understand. The road is wide open in the heart of every human. A few simple words so a mule could understand. 'Cause he don't want tomorrow if it's crumbling into sand. So let's please hear the call. And the world says, put the message in the box, put the box into the car, drive the car around the world until you get heard. Until you get heard. The world says, give a little bit of your heart to me. 'Cause I'm waiting right here with my open arms. And the world says, give a little bit of your soul to me. 'Cause I'm waiting to behold your many charms. Is that love in the air? And the world says, put the message in the box, put the box into that car, drive the car around the world until you get heard. Put the message in the box, put that box into the car, and drive the car around the world until you get heard. Until you get heard. Until you get heard. Until you get heard. Thank you. You're very kind, thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Recognizing that the pandemic has changed many of our practices, including how we support the work of Unity, this is the time during our Sunday service when we acknowledge the practice of generosity. Some of us prefer to continue to support Unity through gifts made online or through the mail. Others of us prefer to make our sacred exchange when we are present at the service. We are experimenting with a safe and sacred way to make gifts when we are on location. You can use the envelopes on the tables to place it in the bowl when you are complete with the blessing. These envelopes will be safely collected by our ushers following the close of service. As a community, we practice sacred generosity by tithing the gifts we receive. This month, we are sharing the tithes with the Congregate's Choice, the Greater Lansing Food Bank. Let's take a moment to bless the many gifts we have received and the gifts we are able to share with others by singing, "I Am So Blessed."
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Having acknowledged our many blessings received, now we bless our practice of generosity as we feel deep appreciation for the love, the kindness, and the support that blesses all of our lives. Let us affirm together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I praise, give thanks, and am glad. And now we'll sing together in our closing song, I Choose Love.
Peace in my life is growing because I choose love. Love be present is what we're made of. I choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one. One tie that binds us that can't be undone. I choose love. Peace on the planet is growing because I choose love. Let love be present, it's what we're made of. I choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one. One choice unites us, let this be the one. I choose love. I choose love. We choose love. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God is within us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Thank you. Also, on your tables, we'd love feedback of how this room's working for you. Reading the PowerPoint, if you can hear any feedback you can give us, because we're experimenting. You go on and start playing. Yeah. There's a little